Hello CTC, this is Aaron and Drew with the How Rehab. We wanted to take up a little bit of your time in the off season to try to provide you with a little bit of knowledge and possibly some information that might be able to benefit your health and your athletic ability in triathlon and maybe the other sports that you do. Today we wanted to take a little bit of time to introduce or reacquaint you with something called heart rate variability. It's HRV for short. Drew?
Well, what we're going to talk about today with heart rate variability is its impact on your training and kind of how it should be involved and kind of work with your life and everything else that goes on. So what heart rate variability really is the amount of time in between each of your heartbeats. And you know, if we had, keep this really simple, if we had 60 beats per minute, that would be one beat every minute. But every second. Thank you, Aaron.
You got it. We're on top of it today.
But in that case, it doesn't occur at exactly the 1 second mark every single time. There's tiny little variations and differences. So maybe one's at 1.11 seconds and the next one kind of balances that out. So we have 2 in 2 seconds, or maybe it's 3 in 3 seconds, and they kind of balance each other out. But what we're truly measuring is the exact interval in between and how consistent it really is. What does that tell us? That's really the important question here. It tells us how much your autonomic nervous system is really interfering with your heart rate at the time. Sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, these are big fancy words. So your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight mechanism. So, you know, if you had a really hard training day, or if you also had you know, you're stressed, you didn't get enough sleep, so on and so on and so on.
Poor nutrition also weighs into it as well.
Thank you, Aaron. This would actually cause an increase in that heart rate variability, just showing that you are potentially not ready to you know, do a really hard workout. And that's kind of how we've been using it.
And really, in this process, the parasympathetic is the time that our body is recovering. And when that parasympathetic notice on our heart rate variability goes up, it really lets us know that we should have a pedal to the metal kind of day. And in that process, it will allow us to have these nice physiological gains. And sometimes we've all maybe felt great, but then when we get into that workout, it's just not there. And especially with the studies and tests that have been shown with this, whether you're stressing out that parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system, typically when that HRV starts to go low, we are stressing out that sympathetic nervous system. And those might be those days when we do think we feel really good, but we don't have that same effort in our legs. So by listening to this number, it gives us an idea from a physiological standpoint if we are ready to go hard or not. And sometimes we benefit more by taking that little bit of a lighter day off when our body's not fully recovered. Taking that time off, getting back into it the day after, we might be able to put down a really, really good effort. So therefore, we're going to adapt to those situations and allow ourselves to benefit from a very, very positive training stress standpoint. Absolutely. So these are just factors, and heart rate variability previously to this point, we just kind of had to go on how we felt. And we've all been in that situation where, you know what, I woke up pretty good, I had a good night's sleep, or we thought that, and then just the day goes sideways. And this is just a way for us to be able to test it on a morning-to-morning basis to allow us to know if it's time to roll or if it's time to not.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to actually have a concrete number in science to back what you're doing with your workout that day. And, you know, tracking this will really decrease the chances for overtraining, having, you know, that fatigue that everybody claims they have, especially during like a big like Ironman training block or something along those lines.
Additionally to that, it's going to prevent injury, and it's also going to keep you healthy. Absolutely. And especially when we're going through that winter season, we don't have the greatest weather around here some days, and when we're really trying to set that foundation for the season, we're tapping into some really tough workouts and having that idea of not really draining the system, so therefore it can adapt and really not get taken over by illness is going to be another important to not get you knocked off of your training for long term.
Yeah. So the next question is, how do you measure it? There's a couple different ways to do it. The gold standard is actually with an echocardiogram, or ECG. Obviously, we're not doing that every day. That'd be really nice if you had that technology. In recent years, they've really done a very good job with heart rate sensors in the back of phones. And then not everybody has the brand new fancy iPhone 37, I don't know, 10, 11, whatever it is.
I think it's 11 now.
Whatever it is. That has a very good optical sensor for your finger that actually Aaron uses every day. I use, and Aaron uses, what was that app that you use, Aaron?
It's HRV4training.com. It's HRV4training.com.
And we've actually kind of established a little partnership with them because they really have the best and the gold standard at this point for this testing. There are some other free apps that you can use as well, but with any of the other free apps, if you don't have your iPhone 11, you have to use just your standard Garmin or Wahoo chest strap to do it.
And it doesn't have to be an iPhone 11. Actually, anything later than iPhone 6 is going to work. So it really is operational from that 6 or above.
Finger sensor
it does have the same sensor, so you're going to be able to utilize anything up. Also, you're able to utilize it with an Android-based phone or anything like that. It's just anything that has the optical lens sensor.
Good job.
So as long as we have that in there, you're going to be good. And the greatest thing about this HRV for training is it's a 60-second test. So the first thing that you do, you reach for that phone. You can set up the app, put your finger on the lens of your phone, and it will start to calculate. It only takes 60 seconds. Some of the other tests that I initially started with were
2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that's what mine. I think I'm 2 to 5 minutes depending on the day.
Absolutely, and that's just a big investment. Typically, when we're getting out of bed in the morning, we got a lot of things that we want to get done before we actually roll out of bed.
Absolutely.
But having something that does it in 60 seconds and legitimately it's there 60 seconds every time is a big deal. But as Drew was talking about, there's a lot of other apps, but you just need to watch out when you get to the freeze. Sometimes you're going to increase the time invested, or it might not be that gold standard that you're expecting to get.
Yeah, exactly.
So beyond that, if you have additional questions, please do not hesitate to put those in the comments. We are going to look at trying to put out a couple of videos a month, and if you have any topics that you would like us to do a little bit of the digging and research on and discuss, we would love to take that opportunity. So please share those ideas or opinions that you have, and we would love to dive into those topics. Also, if you're in the club and you have a business and you would like to, it somehow connects with triathlon or activity, we would love to have you on and maybe do an interview with you to give an opportunity for you to display your business. So outside of that, we also have a new website for our metabolic testing. We will put a little spot of that at performanceinscience.com, and gives you a little bit more detail on our metabolic testing and our resting metabolic rate testing. So therefore, take an opportunity to give it a look. We'd love to hear what you say about that, and also if you'd like to have a little bit of a discussion or schedule an appointment, there is a point on there where you can do so. So Aaron and Drew signing out. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and you have a wonderful day.
Take care.